Jamaica. Make we do the right thing. Make we live good today for a better tomorrow. Talk it out. Don't fight it out. The time by the Ministry of National Security is
6:30.
One of Britain's leading political thinkers and actors and representatives, Jeremy Corbyn, believes the time is now for the British government to open discussions with their counterparts in the Caribbean about the issue of reparations for chattel slavery. According to Corbyn, the time is now because, unlike previous years when Caribbean governments were a bit laissez-faire about the issue, he believes that the intensity of the demand for reparations means that the age-old tactic of dragging it out until it fizzles out will not work, and so discussions must be had now. He joins me today on Lead Story to advance his argument. Welcome to Lead Story on this Wednesday. My name is George Davis. I have a very, very special guest in studio with me this evening, a man who, you meet very important people, influential people from all over the world. I never thought I'd have gotten the chance to be sitting across from the man who I used to love to hear, the former Speaker of the House in the UK, John Bercow, say, Jeremy Corbyn. Well, Mr. Corbyn is here live and in living colour inside the studios here at CVM TV. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. It's absolute pleasure to be here, and thank you for inviting me onto your program.
Excellent. I have to start with the fact that many people would not know that you spent time in Jamaica as you were 19 when you came here in 1968, 69? 67. And you were at Kingston College. Tell me about that experience quickly.
That's right. I came here as a VSO, voluntary service overseas, and I was assigned to Kingston College. But I also did work at Theatre 77 at the Barn, and I worked as a volunteer at the Polio Rehabilitation Centre at Mona. And my job was to teach geography and support the school and so on. But in reality, Jamaica taught me far more than I taught anybody in Jamaica, and I owe Jamaica a big debt.
Yeah, and of course he references the Barn Theatre that was formerly run by the late Trevor Rowan, the outstanding Trevor Rowan, and he said the Polio Centre, now known as the Sir John Golding Rehabilitation Centre, and it's a one-of-a-kind institution still serving its various publics very well. Jeremy, the issue of reparations continues to be a sore one because talks have been advanced in recent time, making the case for Caribbean leaders to put the pedal to the metal where accelerating the move towards reparation is concerned. Of course, your country, the leadership of that country, now Sir Keir Starmer, your former colleague in Labour, he's very hot and cold on the issue. Many people say that David Lammy, the Foreign Secretary, is wishy-washy on the issue, saying once, 2018, that yes, reparations should be paid, but now he's in government talking out of the other side of his mouth. You have been clear. Reparations, that discussion must be had now. Why are you so fervent on that?
You're very generous in your analysis of both of their responses, actually. Look at it this way. Britain was made rich from Jamaica and other places. Britain did incredibly well out of the slave trade. And at the end of slavery in the 1830s, Wilberforce put the bill through Parliament, which ended slavery. In reality, it was the uprising in Morant Bay and other places that brought the end to slavery. But slavery did end, and the slave owners were paid compensation of £20 million at the time, which was 40% of British government income at that time. And that debt was finally paid off to those people in 2015. Not one slave got one halfpenny at any time. The victims got nothing. The owners got everything. Now, there's been a demand for reparations for quite a long time, but I think it's become a much more valid and real subject at the moment. The UWI and ASIL did an analysis of what the costs of reparations would be, and the figure they came up with was that the UK would owe £18 trillion to 14 countries. obviously there would be negotiation, debate around those figures. And then when it came up at the Commonwealth Heads of Government Conference in Samoa, our Foreign Secretary and our Prime Minister both said there was no appetite to have this discussion. 54 other heads of government had said they wanted to have the discussion.
Yes.
But Britain somehow or other managed to veto even a debate. Well, it's not going to go away, because you look at the issues of inequality on trade, you look at the issues of indebtedness, and you look at the pain that so many families went through, ones who lost people during slavery, but those since then. I think the issue has come full circle. Now, in Britain, the debate has actually become quite live.
Yes.
Some universities, Glasgow University, for example, have paid. The Church of England has recognised that it made lots of money out of compensation and it should pay. Other institutions have done the same. The British Museum goes through convulsions the whole time about repatriation of artefacts.
Yes.
They have sent a lot of stuff back of the Benin bronzes and others, but other stuff they haven't sent back. So it's a real live debate. Why hide away from it? Let's have the debate.
I'm happy you said it, because here's the thing. Here's the thing that is, I don't want to say it confounds, but it's difficult to see logic to it. In your position, I mean, you came very close to being Prime Minister, yeah? You, from the perspective of leading the Labour Party, you've been a member since what, 65?
I joined the Labour Party in 66, and I was a member all that time until earlier this year.
Earlier this year, 2024. So here's the thing. Why is it so difficult for whomever occupies Downing Street to want to go the whole hog and say, okay, let's at least have these discussions and see where we're at in terms of what your demand is and what our ability to meet you along that demand continuum is? Why is it that it doesn't matter what the politician says before when they're in opposition, especially you hear the blandishments, the sweet things, but once they take that, they are sworn into office and they occupy Downing Street, it's a different thing. You must be able to tell me why.
Those stones in Whitehall emanate a sort of power. The power of British imperialism, the power of British Empire in the past. And if you ever walk around the Foreign Office, the whole thing is like a museum of the British Empire. And they've got a huge room where a lot of the decision making and things go on. It's called the map room. And it's got these beautiful old maps on big rollers, and they roll up and down. None of them are contemporary. None of them show the world as it is. They show the world of British Empire. They show the world of British India. They show the world of British Caribbean. They show the world of Dominion South Africa, Dominion Canada. There's a whole atmosphere around it. That has an effect on people, I believe. There's also the idea that somehow or other you've got to put this slavery stuff behind us and move on. And when I was invited by John Burke, it was nice of you to mention him, lovely man. He invited me to join this advisory committee on doing an exhibition in Parliament on the abolition of the slave trade. And so we trawled all around the country to get artifacts to put in, and we even got the slave boxes, the slave records, the Museum of Slavery. We put on a wonderful exhibition, and that was a way of promoting the debate. Now, why are they so shy of it? They're frightened of the amount of money involved, they're frightened of the implications of it. But what's it about? It is about fair trade, it is about education, it is about reparations. All these things must happen.
So just so I don't leave anybody behind, because I want my viewers to
Who are you leaving behind? You're not leaving me behind.
Well, certainly not you. But I'm thinking of the people in TV land. Here's where I'm coming from with this. If you say that the forces that exist in Whitehall, the whole civil service and the bureaucracy, it's almost like a planet Krypton sucking the energy out of Superman or Superwoman, as the case may be, coming into office as Prime Minister. What is it that a Prime Minister's agenda becomes lost to the power of this bureaucracy, that something as important as this to the Commonwealth of Nations, which Britain still leans on and is leaning on increasingly now, what with Brexit and everything, what is it that gives it that power to just suck the impetus out of such a thing as discussing reparations?
You've got to be very brave in Britain to stand up against the tradition of empire and the tradition of control. Remember the history that most people in Britain are brought up with in school. It isn't world history, it isn't global history, it's history of Britain. Yes, it's history of social reform, but it's also history of empire. And when I was leader of the party, Dawn Butler and myself worked very hard on creating the idea of the Emancipation Education Trust, which would be a trust which would give resources and stuff to every school in the country to talk about how slaves were emancipated, who stood up against the slave trade. And that brings in the whole anti-colonial education. Now, back to your point. Prime Minister moves into Downing Street, sits down there, says to the Cabinet Secretary, right, Cabinet will discuss reparations. He'll say, Prime Minister, let me explain to you. There's this issue that the Foreign Office have brought in, and helpfully we've got a paper here which will just show you the financial implications of this. And by the way, we've got this paper here that says that France, the Netherlands, Spain, Italy, Germany, Russia, and so on and so on and so on, all have concerns about this. Don't you think we should look at it in more detail for a bit longer? Push it on the back burner, throw it away for a while. Well, I'm not going to do that. That's why I raised the subject in my contribution last night at University of West Indies. Fascinating experience. And I'm very grateful for you for giving me the opportunity to at least raise the issue.
Well, here's the thing, though, and I'm grateful for your speech last evening as well. I think of in my own mind what happened with the law firm Lee Day and what they helped the Mau Mau rebels to get. And I saw that years ago as a seminal moment.
I was in court with them, you know.
You were there?
Yes.
There you go.
Now, look at the Mau Mau. That's a great example. 1945 Labour government, radical, National Health Service, nationalised industries, planning, housing, social justice, social insurance, all those things, brilliant. But, and this is the but, foreign policy. Yes, independence of India accompanied with partition. British intervention in Vietnam to put down the Viet Cong, or Viet Minh as they were then called. British intervention in Malaya to prevent anyone pushing for independence. And crucially, support for the white settlers in Kenya against the Kikuyu people particularly, but others as well. And the unbelievable levels of brutality. Now, Tony Benn, Barbara Carson and a few others very bravely in 1955 in the British Parliament brought up the abuse of the Mau Mau people by British forces. Concentration camps, chemical castration, torture, brutality, unbelievable. Lee Day bravely took the case up. And I went to the High Court with Lee Day and I sat there for several days listening to it. We had a reception on the Sunday before the case came up for the survivors of the Mau Mau to come to a house in North London. We had a nice reception with food and drink and so on for them. And I just thought these poor people had been their whole lives remembering this disgusting suffering, and now at last we're getting their moment in court. And when I watched them in the High Court, these very small, shriveled people that had been so brutalised in their lives, explaining to the judge what happened, and the judge was there, just looking at them. Don't those people deserve some justice?
Absolutely, and that's why I drew for that example. And I'm saying that I thought, naively, that it would have had a cascading effect. It's more trickle than cascade, full cascade. But I think that incident, Jeremy Corbyn, gave impetus to the move to quantify what is owed to Caribbean people for chattel slavery by people like the UK. And it has given an organization to CARICOM's Reparations Commission. And I think that we are on a momentum where it will be irresistible for Sir Keir Starmer to continue ignoring for longer.
UWI promoting great work.
Yes.
You've got the American universities, Brown and others doing the same work. You've got CARICOM on side. You've got that huge demand within the Commonwealth doing the same thing. And you've got this general movement for reparations. Now, reparations of sending museum artifacts back isn't going to solve the whole issue, but it's quite symbolic. It's quite symbolic to go around the British Museum and say, hang on, that
was stolen.
belongs in Jamaica. My wife is from Mexico.
Yes.
We've walked around the British Museum, and she gets very angry.
Yes.
She said, why is that here?
Yeah.
Why is it not
Yes.
in the National Museum in Mexico?
Yes.
Good question.
Yes.
I think we should share
Yes.
things. I think there are some fantastic stuff at the British
Yes.
Museum that should go on world tour.
Yeah.
Whatever. These things, it's sharing history and sharing knowledge.
That's what it's all about. I have to take the break here. This is Lead Story here on CVM TV. The former leader of the Labour Party in the United Kingdom, a man who's been an MP for 41 years, almost as long as I've been alive, is with me in the studio here. More from him after these.
Truth is, HIV affects everyone. Truth is, avoiding care leads to a weaker immune system. That means you could get really sick. The truth is, the hardest pill to swallow isn't the medication. It's the problems that follow when you don't take them. Let's get through this together. Remain in care. You can live life to the fullest with HIV. And that's the truth. A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Welcome to CVM Cook Shop. We're kicking off the holiday season with a nutritional entree that's catered to my seafood lovers. In the kitchen we have the one and only chef Jackie Tyson.
Everything is just dancing and having a great time.
The aromatics are waking up. Ooh. Oh. So if you're looking for a dish that's as festive as it is flavorful, you come to the right place.
Steve knows style.
That Jackie! When was you in the Temptations? You are my alter ego.
And Steve gives in to his own temptation. Family Feud.
Brought to you by We Are the Caring Store, waiting to serve you. It's time to experience independent living. Visit us today.
Firebrand, uncompromising but never nasty. That's the Jeremy Corbyn that we see from this part, from our perch here in Jamaica. He's been a member of Parliament for Islington North since 1983. That's 41 years strong. He said he joined the Labour Party in the mid-1960s, and it's a shame, really, that a man who's been a foundation, a rock of the Labour Party, the UK's Labour Party, is now no longer a member of that party, having left under difficult circumstances when he announced that he would be running as an independent candidate in his playground in Islington North. And there were fears that he would not be strong enough to repel the man that Labour put in the seat, but he ended up beating him by 7,000 votes to take home the seat yet again. Jeremy Corbyn, there are sections of the British media that my colleagues and I from afar here think were very unfair towards you in terms of your classification, your characterization, the way that it was almost everything you say, it was just made to seem as if you were just this evil man within the empire trying to drag Britain and the Labour Party into a direction undesirable.
Well, you can see that looking at me now, can't you?
Not at all. Do you think that the British press has given you a fair shake? And why has their characterization of Jeremy Corbyn been the way it has over the past few decades?
It's not true to say all the British press are against me, only 91% of them. There has been some academic studies done, and a man came to see me, a lovely fellow called Maximilian from Bristol came to see me. He'd done a PhD on the media treatment of me, and he showed the figures about the coverage, but also the absurdity of the stories that were put out about me, the fact that during the whole time I was leader of the Labour Party, our house was under siege from journalists who couldn't go out of the house. They were there the whole time. And we were attacked and grossly unfair stories put about me. My team spent hours and hours every day rebutting the most ridiculous, horrible and nasty stories about me. And so, yeah, the media ought to be inquiring, ought to be challenging, ought to be fair in their coverage of things. I support journalists. I'm actually a member of the National Union of Journalists because I want to see decent, honest, fair journalism. None of that was honest, none of that was fair. And it was particularly the Murdoch press were the worst by a long way. But unfounded criticisms of me appeared in The Guardian, appeared on the BBC. We challenged all of that. And we got quite a lot of judgments back in our favour. But all that's too late. It's months after the story's gone out.
Damage done. Why is it that Keir Starmer, a man who you facilitated when you were at the helm of the Labour Party, how did that relationship turn sour to the extent that Keir Starmer doesn't have a place for you in the party he leads anymore?
Well, he was appointed by me to be our shadow Brexit secretary. I'm not pretending we were close friends, we never were, but we worked together, we went to Brussels together, we met the European Union together, we discussed what relationship post-Brexit Britain could have with the European Union. It was never a close relationship, but it was a functioning, working relationship. He disagreed with my analysis of the Equality and Human Rights Commission report on anti-Semitism. Anti-Semitism is, by the way, evil. As are all.
I was going to ask you that straight up if you're an anti-Semite.
Of course,
because the British press would have us believe that this is a man who hates Jews, who goes out of his way to further to advance the persecution of Jews, and you're saying you're not an anti-Semite.
Absolutely not an anti-Semite or any other kind of racist. I've seen what the evils of racism does to people. And my analysis of the report was that, and the words I used were, one anti-Semite in the Labour Party is one anti-Semite too many. But I also said that many of the accusations against me were nasty, exaggerated, and frankly wrong. And so I was then
he made
suspended.
you a poster boy for anti-Semitism. And you were the scapegoat. You were the one he had to get rid of.
And then I was suspended from the Labour Party membership, reinstated 19 days later, unanimously by the National Executive, unanimously reinstated. Keir Starmer then personally intervened and removed my membership of the Parliamentary Labour Party, and I was then not a member of the Parliamentary Caucus for more or less the whole of the last Parliament. And then we came up towards the general election earlier this year, and the Labour Party then announced I was not fit to be a Labour candidate, having been a Labour MP for 40 years. And so they said, well, you can't be a Labour candidate and your local party cannot even consider you, never mind select you. And so I said, look, this has gone too far. Let the people decide. So I announced I would stand as an independent. 31 minutes later, I was expelled from the Labour Party, which I'd been in since the age of 16 rather, and stood as an independent. It was a very expensive campaign for the Labour Party. They threw lots of money at it, and we won. We won, and the support of people, all faiths, all religions, all groups, all ethnic minorities, and everyone else, and we won.
Are you, Jeremy Corbyn, bitter for the fact that you ran Theresa May so close when she snapped election? You brought the Labour Party closer than many other Labour Party leaders before you had brought them to the brink of victory. Yes, of course, Boris Johnson came in after Theresa May, and then you suffered a big defeat in 2019. But from bringing the Labour Party to the close to victory, to being kicked out of the party, are you embittered by that experience?
I'm not a bitter person. I don't do bitter. I'm more philosophical than that. What I would say is, the 2017 election, we started the election on 24% in the polls. And I said to my team, we've got no choice but to go out and fight. We went out. I did 100 open-air rallies all around the country. Not one was ticketed. Anyone could come. and we had all this magnificent campaign, and we ended up with 41% of the vote.
Yes.
The highest Labour vote this century.
Yes.
We came, actually 2,000 votes more in certain places would have put us into government. Anyhow, then even in 2019, when we didn't win the election, I concede
Yes.
that, we still got a much higher vote than Labour got this time,
Yes.
or got in 2015,
Yes.
or 2010,
Yes.
or 2005.
Yes.
So I feel actually vindicated
Yes.
by the policies that we put forward in our manifesto, for the many, not the few.
For the many, not for the few. And the thing I remember you about is your championing of the NHS. But tell me what's in those two books that you have
these
on the
two
table
books.
here.
After I stepped down...
So let me hold up one.
Hold on.
This
First one, The Monstrous Anger of the Guns.
Yes.
I founded the Peace and Justice Project when I'd stepped down as leader of the Labour Party. And the Peace and Justice Project is its sound. It's for peace and for justice. And this book we put together, my wife Laura and a number of other people did all the work on getting the articles together. It's a global examination of the arms trade and the influence of the arms trade on countries, on governments, on politicians, on public opinion. As a world,
Yes.
at the moment, we're spending $2.4 trillion a year on arms. Wars, Ukraine, wars, Gaza, wars, Sudan, wars, Congo.
Yeah.
I want to see the Palestinian people living in peace and freedom,
Yes.
not under occupation. And this book is a way of promoting those kind of debates.
second
the
one,
second
though.
book,
Yes.
I love poetry.
Yes.
I love poetry, and so Len McCluskey used to be General Secretary of the Unite the Union, the biggest union in Britain. He and I both love poetry. Unlikely. They say, what do these two old guys love poetry for? And so we put together a book where we chose a selection of poems from around the world and got other people like Alexei Sale, Gary Young, Maxine Peake and others to choose poems. And we've put them together in this book, Poetry for the Many. And you know what? It's sold 10,000 copies already.
Yes.
And we're promoting poetry around, and there's lots of Caribbean poets in there, including Andrew Solke.
The great Andrew Solke. So we can find it on Amazon?
Of course you can, yes.
Wherever you buy your books, you can look for these two titles, Poetry
For the Many.
And?
The Monstrous Anger. And do you know why it's called The Monstrous Anger of the Guns?
Yes.
It comes from the Wilfred Owen poem of the First World War, Anthem for a Doomed Youth. And in it, he says, Anthem for a Doomed Youth. What passing bells for those who die as cattle.
Yes.
That's the soldiers dying. Only the monstrous anger of the guns.
Absolutely wonderful. And because you went into poetry, I have to do this to say that don't be guided by what the great Dylan Thomas said about raging against the dying of the light, the great Welsh poet. Jeremy Corbyn still here, still in fine form and pushing the case for reparations for the Caribbean people. And he's saying the UK government must answer now, must enter those talks. I thank you for speaking with me today, sir.
Thank you.
All the very best. That's the story. I turn you over to Nika Lewis with the news at 7.
Where the difference is made, where titles are decided, where respect is earned. Excel here and you could go down in history. It's the final third. CVM TV's weekly JPL preview show.
Subscribe now to CVM TV News to see it happen.
Small business owners and independent contractors get affordable insurance with Sagicor Pro Shield. The time by Sagicor Life is
7 o'clock.
CVM News at 7 Wednesday headlines, courtesy of Heart NSTA Trust, Jamaica's Human Development Agency.
Tell me something that makes a bubble bath even more enjoyable.
How about some toys?
All new Family Feud.
Brought to you by
We are the Caring Store, waiting to serve you. It's time to experience independent living. Visit us today.
The internationally acclaimed On Stage with Winfred Williams.
At a new time, Saturdays at 8 p.m. on CVM TV.
So much more than entertainment.
CVM News at 7 Wednesday headlines, courtesy of Heart NSDA Trust, Jamaica's Human Development Agency.
Tonight in CVM News at 7, playground turns battlefield, 3 killed in Manchester violence. MOCA to charge 6 for fleecing millions from elderly bank customers. Bahamas MP arrested after throwing out mace during heated exchange. Also in the news, Jamaica ranked second most murderous in the region. Expert weighs in. In the business report, we have the latest happenings in the markets, and in sports, John Campbell gets 4-match ODI ban.
News at 7 Wednesday headlines, courtesy of CVM News at 7 Wednesday headlines, courtesy of Heart NSDA Trust, Jamaica's Human Development Agency.
Our days get a little complex sometimes. Often so many things make sense, yet so many do not. We are being intentional about giving prominence to the big stories in order to clarify and enlighten. Lead Story explains who, what, when, where, why, and how. Lead Story with George Davis, weekdays at 6:30 p.m. on CVM TV. No more fear of missing out. CVM TV News is on YouTube. Get up-to-date news, sports, and business content at CVM TV News anytime, anywhere. Subscribe now to CVM TV News to see it happen.
CVM News at 7 Wednesday, courtesy of
Your love lives on with life insurance from Sagicor.
From Kingston, Jamaica, this is CVM News at 7. It's Wednesday, December 4, 2024. Thanks for having joined us. We begin with crime. Manchester's reputation for peace was again shattered Tuesday evening after a deadly bar attack escalated into a fatal police chase. There are 3 people dead, including the suspect, as the parish reels from another wave of bloodshed. Ramon Gordon has the details.
Has become a battlefield, and that playground is Manchester. That's the chilling update from local authorities in the once peaceful parish, now reeling from dramatic events Tuesday night. 3 people are dead, including an alleged attacker. The violence began around 7:30 p.m. in Porus when the suspect opened fire at a bar, killing business owner Sasagate Chambers, also known as Chin, and a man only identified as Stevie. A third victim was also shot, staggering to the Porus police station before collapsing. He was rushed to hospital, where we also caught up with the aunt of the deceased.
I was home when I got a call that Chin, that's my niece, got shot. What could have caused it? Because I don't know of her, of anyone involved in anything.
Police responded quickly, confronting the alleged gunman as he attempted to flee along a train line near the bar. What followed was a dramatic chase and fatal shootout that spilled onto the Porus and Redberry main roads. The suspect killed. The latest wave of violence in Manchester follows a deadly gun attack on Wednesday, November 28 in Hibernia, and a mass shooting earlier this year at Mandeville Market. Local representatives are making a desperate plea.
I'm really concerned and hope that this will come to an end and that persons will take responsibilities and stop this foolishness that is going on and causing people life.
And we want to ensure that the police will do every single thing to ensure that the people of Manchester have a peaceful Christmas.
The November 28 attack pushed Manchester's murder tally to 47 since the start of the year. These new deaths bring it to at least 50. Ramon Gordon for CVM News.
The major organized crime and anti-corruption agency MOCA has arrested 6 individuals during coordinated operations across 6 locations in St. Elizabeth, Clarendon, St. Catherine, and Kingston. According to MOCA's communications director, Major Basil Jarrett, the suspects are linked to a multi-million-dollar smishing scam targeting an elderly National Commercial Bank customer. They allegedly stole US $45,000 and 7.4 million Jamaican dollars. The cyber attacks reportedly occurred in March last year, and the suspects are expected to face charges soon.
Essentially, the scam involved tricking the victim into providing sensitive information and transferring significant sums of money to the perpetrators. The operation was carried out with the support of CTOC and other units of the JCF, and it demonstrates our commitment to addressing cybercrime and ensuring that those who attempt to exploit vulnerable individuals face justice. We anticipate charges will be laid shortly, and we continue to investigate the full extent of the crime.
The Integrity Commission has submitted an investigation report and an indicative ruling from its Director of Corruption Prosecution to Parliament for tabling. The documents were delivered this morning, addressed to House Speaker Juliet Holness, Senate President Tom Tavares Finson, and the Clerk to the Houses, Colleen Lowe. The submission made under Section 54 of the Integrity Commission Act fulfills the Commission's legal obligation. It is now up to Parliament to table the report. The government has extended the deadline for new applications to its Reverse Income Tax Credit RITC program. Applicants now have until December 13, 2024 to submit their claims following an adjustment to the eligibility period for tax filings. Taxpayers who completed their required tax filings and payments by October 15, 2024 are eligible to apply. The program offers a one-time payment of $20,000 to those who earned below $3 million in 2023. To date, the government has disbursed $5.8 billion to over 290,000 beneficiaries, with over 38,000 applications still being processed. Further disbursements are scheduled for December and January. Please note that those advised by the Tax Administration of Jamaica to resubmit due to earlier challenges have until December 31, 2024 to do so. The government of Jamaica is assuring its citizens that it remains dedicated to safeguarding their rights and well-being while they travel overseas. Britannia Witter tells us more.
According to recent reports circulating on social media of immigration challenges faced by Jamaicans at foreign ports of entry, Minister Kamina Johnson-Smith reaffirmed that her ministry is actively addressing these concerns.
We are very concerned by the reports we've been hearing of in social media for more than one reason. In 2023, the ministry advised that a more restrictive approach was being taken by Mexico and other Central American authorities to reduce the misuse of their borders to enter the United States of America illegally. The government therefore then strongly urged Jamaicans not to misuse particular borders for the purpose of illegal immigration, and warned that it was quite possible that lawful travelers would start to be negatively impacted.
Minister Smith also emphasized the importance of adhering to the immigration laws of destination countries, noting that these laws can change over time. Jamaicans are advised to ensure they meet all entry requirements before traveling to avoid complications such as detention or deportation.
While the Jamaican government always stands ready to defend and protect the rights of our citizens overseas, we regret to remind that we cannot insist that any state allow any non-citizen to enter that state. No citizen has a right to enter another country other than their own. So we therefore can only work to prevent the contravention of basic rights, of human rights, particularly in terms of unlawful detention or mistreatment.
The minister encouraged Jamaicans to evaluate their travel plans carefully, stay informed about immigration policies, and consider various indicators when selecting destinations. For those encountering difficulties abroad, the ministry advises reaching out to the nearest Jamaican Mission Embassy, High Commission, Consulate General, or Consulate for assistance. Britannia Whittle, CVM News.
We'll have more news at 7 after this break.
Without a plan.
As an electrician, protection is always a priority.
If you're a small business owner or an independent contractor, there's a plan that gives you protection and coverage. Sagicor Pro Shield. Get up to $1 million critical illness coverage and cover up to 80% of your medical costs for as little as $13,650 every 3 months. Get the protection you need with Sagicor Pro Shield. Call 888-SAGICOR. Conditions apply.
Christmas is made of moments for the family. Sign up for a home fiber bundle for as low as $7,399 plus GCT and get installed. You could win a bag of things valued at over $400,000. Digital Plus. Better connected this Christmas.
Welcome back. Continuing the news, Olympic Way in St. Andrew is poised for a major transformation with the development of a state-of-the-art cultural center. The over $120 million project promises to enhance community engagement, foster social growth, and provide vital emergency shelter services. With the details, here's Shante McNeil.
To uplift southeast Jamaica with the construction of an over $120 million community cultural center in Olympic Way, St. Andrew. The 6,500 square foot facility, designed to accommodate 500 to 700 people, will double as an emergency shelter. At the groundbreaking ceremony on Wednesday, Prime Minister Andrew Holness revealed plans for a budget to manage the center's operating cost. He also urged Chase Fund, the project manager, to consider incorporating solar electricity.
You need to ensure that the building can run off solar. It is something that we have to consider because the lights here, which are used for the night games, are not all fully solar. And so when we do this facility, I want us to consider, when it is completed, that we implement an off-grid solar system.
Speaking on behalf of Minister of Culture Olivia Grange, Leslie Harrow, Executive Director of the Jamaica National Heritage Trust, emphasized the center's potential to foster social stability.
The Olympic Way Community Cultural Center, as envisioned, can provide a safe space for learning, mentorship, and personal growth, helping break cycles of poverty and marginalization. This will also serve as a space for local leaders and organizers to engage with communities, ensuring the development of initiatives are tailored to the needs of the people.
Prime Minister Holness also announced plans to repurpose the existing civic center.
It is already used quite often for training. We are going to now focus on a different kind of training, which is in what we call STEM. We're going to start some classes in computer sciences, particularly in coding. So I want to turn this into the Science and Technology Center for this era, so that our young people can find work in a viable field.
He highlighted that a new sewer line will also be constructed in the area, along with continued road repair work in the constituency. These initiatives aim to boost property value, attract innovative housing, and elevate the overall appeal of Olympic Way. Shante McNeil, CVM News.
Over in St. Thomas now, the licensed main road is finally being repaired after much discomfiture to commuters and residents alike. However, there still remains some challenge, and we'll hear more now from our reporter Adrian Williams.
Repairs continue in the east to correct damage due to subpar material used in the East Coast Highway project in St. Thomas. But meanwhile, commuters on licensed main road still have challenges. Councillor for the Morant Bay Division, Rosemary Shaw, though happy for the repair being done, is calling on the National Works Agency, NWA, to rectify this matter.
I think that it's improper management. Also, if you notice, there is no flag personnel to direct traffic. And, you know, this is utter madness and this is untenable. So I would like some semblance of order to take place on this roadway. This cannot continue like that, especially because it's a major thoroughfare.
Her concerns are further heightened as the school children are being affected.
One of my concerns is during the peak hours, students going to school to take exam is being hampered. Some of them complain that they are late for exam and the pile-up of traffic. If you look here, this has been dug down, so the vehicle that is coming from that section going to the east, right? You have a long line whenever there is a peak period in the morning and in the evening. And then on the other side, vehicle going in that direction.
Some vehicles taking their time and staying in their lane, while others speed over the smoother lane in the opposite direction, and for others, near misses and traffic pileups. One man who owns a residence along the thoroughfare, Roy Peart, has been affected directly by the workflow of the repairs.
I've got two painters here. They paint the wall and paint the grill, and the dust, it doesn't make it as if it doesn't really make sense. Appealing to NWA to sort it out because really it's annoying. It's really annoying. NWA has definitely got to do something about it ASAP.
Peart also highlighted an impedance caused by the roadwork, preventing a smooth flow in and out of his home and close calls for other drivers. Motorists are being urged to observe the road code, traverse patiently and with caution. Adrian Williams reporting for CVM News.
Still in the east, infrastructure woes continue to plague St. Thomas residents, particularly those in the Dalby division. They claim they haven't received much help from their political representatives and their quality of life has decreased despite infrastructure development in the parish. Courtney Lewis reports.
Infrastructure crisis with gaping holes in roadways and floods allegedly due to poor maintenance of bridges. The residents of the Dalby division are fed up.
It is bad man for an up-sitting member of parliament just to do this.
Both sides weak. And right now, it's not about politics, it's about the people and the youth them that go to school. But them foot go broke off and all them whole.
So the house was out 2 times straight because of the bridge were not clean. We don't want any monetary help, we just want the bridge to clean. From last year, the bridge to fix, nothing I do, nothing at all, no road not fix, nothing I do.
One resident who is an immigrant says despite his short stint in the parish, he shares the frustration of his neighbors.
The road is very rutted, and there's a man that lives right 100 yards from here, 100 meters, who's in a wheelchair, and he can't come out of his yard.
He says despite recent road work, other areas have been neglected. The National Works Agency, NWA, has since closed sections of Hampton Court leading to Dalvey, offering an alternative route. But the residents say work plans are not sustainable.
A long time this tear so, and then come dump up one time, see rain come, you wash them back again. You see? This can't work so, man. Enough product me having a bush come out, you know. And right now, I'm on a road for them. No road at all. If a man say I'm going in a bush, for pumpkin, melon or anything, I tell us, boy, I hear me, the road no good. So how me carry? My old bike alone can't carry.
They are hoping for their political representatives to provide a long-term solution to their long-standing concerns. Courtney Lewis for CVM News.
The Norman Manley International Airport in Kingston will be closed starting 10 p.m. Thursday, December 5, to facilitate maintenance of the electrical systems. The airport is set to reopen and normal operations will resume on Friday, December 6 at 4 a.m. During the period, the PAC Kingston Limited PACL assures no passenger travel will be affected. With that, we take a quick break. More when we return.
It's been 3 years.
Come on, Dee. I have it. Let's go.
My baby. Son of my baby. Oh my goodness. Them feeding you over there though? Your favorite. Welcome home, son.
This is home.
Welcome to the HP Store, Jamaica's exclusive HP outlet smacked in the middle of Kingston. Everything from laptops, desktops, printers, accessories, and more. Experience the latest in cutting-edge technology and software from HP. Let's help you find a solution that meets your needs. Visit us at Shop Number 2 Tropical Plaza, Kingston 10. The HP Store, your trusted source for genuine HP products.
As we transition from iCreate Limited to Kintyre Holdings, we are embracing a future full of possibilities, where innovation meets growth and opportunities are endless. Kintyre Holdings emerges as a diversified powerhouse, driving growth across key sectors such as real estate, fintech, technology, advertising, and tourism. Kintyre Holdings isn't just rebranding. We are building a future of innovation, impact, and growth for Jamaica, the Caribbean, and beyond. Kintyre Holdings. See, believe, achieve. Visit our website, kintyre.holdings, for more information.
Thanks so much for staying with us. An opposition member of parliament in the Bahamas was today arrested after a major incident in the parliament in which he was seen on video throwing the mace through a window. According to SKN News, the incident comes amid heightened tension in the Bahamas following the arrest of several high-ranking police officials in Florida during a cocaine sting operation. The controversy has placed mounting pressure on Commissioner of Police Clayton Leroy Fernander, who ultimately resigned from his post. Prime Minister Philip Davis confirmed Fernander's resignation during his presentation to the House of Assembly. Tensions, however, boiled over after a verbal exchange between MPs and the Speaker of the Parliament. Video footage shows an MP walking up to the Speaker's desk, grabbing the ceremonial mace, a symbol of parliamentary authority, and hurling it through a window.
My Lord. My Lord. My Lord. I mean, all over me. You think it's right? Do you think it's right? Honorable members, remove that member from this place. Remove the honorable member for St. Barnabas from these proceedings.
Now to our weekly feature. To say the lucky breaks from sugarcane in the USA have withered is an understatement. That's because the seemingly easy passage some got to becoming Jamaicans is almost a deadbolt now under new regime. Carolyn Brown closes out Living the Life, the Florida Glades experience of old.
The life defies time and laws, surpasses storms, hurricanes, wars, recession, pandemics.
So, sugarcane swung the door wide open for Jamaican farmers to step boldly onto USA soil. But meeting the big man, Van Doc Jackson, gave them roots.
I want to be truthful and honest about it. For some guys, they were doing it the right way. They would come on here and they would go through the American processes. They would meet a young lady that they would want to start a life with, and they would get married, and they would go through the process, and they would be allowed to stay in America. There are some others, if time is running out, things happen, or the guy has a horrible life facing him when he gets back to Jamaica. Some would decide to just stay in America, and they would get a job, get a place to stay, and just not go back. And and there were still opportunities for them once they were in America to then work their way forward and try and become an American citizen. And many did that, and he helped them to do that.
How did they?
Well, he would help them by, a lot of times the guys would not have jobs. He would help them get a job or give them a job. Every season they are coming up, so you see the faces and you remember them from the years before, and you know that that's a guy who always patronized your business. So it's pay up time. It's time to pay the guy back. It's time to help him, become an American citizen, and he would do that. Having been an officer of the law, no one was going to question his signature being supporting someone who wants to stay in America. There are some guys that stayed around, and they maintained long friendships with my dad. My dad recently passed about 2 years ago, but he was 89 when he died, so a lot of these guys came over.
Well, those chanced lasting relationships cemented by the senior Jacksons are now still something to talk about.
I know what it's like to have a guy be down on his luck and not have money and come to my mother and father and say, hey, can you guys, they might be living in one of our rental properties, and they was like, can you carry my family for the summer? Working in the fields, doing whatever crops and following the season in the different places where life would take them. And so a lot of the guys would up and leave and had to leave their family behind.
Nowadays, would it be considered okay for him to have helped the way he did?
Absolutely not. The process is much more difficult than what it was at that time. And for those people who would decide to run, anyone assisting them now would be, you'd be in trouble. I would ride out to the Jamaican camp on my bicycle, and the guys knew my face. They would be cooking, and the guys would be in line, and I love Jamaican food. I would get in line just like one of them, and I was always welcome. I could always have anything I wanted. I was always treated great as a kid, and a lot of it was because of my parents.
Talking about that, apart from sugar,
football,
right?
A lot of football players. In fact, my brother's Ricky Jackson. He's a Hall of Fame football player, and he played with the New Orleans Saints and won the Super Bowl with the San Francisco 49ers.
Carolyn Brown for Living the Life, CVM News.
Stay with us for so much more when we return.
KFC's popcorn chicken, now available in barbecue. KFC, it's finger licking good. The time by KFC is
7:30.
This is a public service announcement.
JPS have something for light up your Christmas. 101 lucky customers are gonna get real happy with them light bill paid this Christmas. That's over $2 million in light. Use the My JPS app to view your bill, set your budget, and check your usage, and you could win. Download and start using the My JPS app today. JPS, pouring what matters this Christmas. Promotion in December 27. Conditions apply.
It's been 3 years.
Come on, D. I have it. Let's go.
My baby. Son of my baby. Oh my goodness.
Them feeding you over there, though? Your favorite. Welcome home, son.
This is home. If you have a problem, Royal Computers and Accessories has the solutions. From the latest desktops, laptops, and accessories, we have the best brands at the lowest prices. Drop in at Shop 31 Pavilion Mall, Kingston, Shop 9 LOJ Shopping Center, Spanish Town, or visit our head office at 16 South Avenue, Kingston for reliable computer repairs or business solutions. We've got you covered. Royal Computers and Accessories, making technology work for you.
Welcome back. We'll take a look now at social media. So, what's trending in our local social media spaces? Social media users are reacting to the growing number of potholes on Jamaica's roads, posing a threat to public safety. Here are some of your reactions. At It's Just Ren says, Dear Santa, instead of flying, make the reindeer walk when you reach Jamaica and let your Christmas magic leave us with new pothole-free roads. Yours truly, a girl tired of the traffic caused by crater-sized potholes. At 6'9" fella replies, I personally avoid Jamaican potholes by not being in Jamaica. That's just me though. At Rottanil writes, the potholes in Jamaica are absolutely atrocious. I've always loved my country, but after last night, may hate all the officials who drive on these roads and do absolutely nothing about it. At It's Linky shares, mad dodge potholes in Kingston like it's an extreme sport. Jamaica, go do better, man. At Mega Chemo posts, these potholes are traumatic. The whole of Jamaica road them one do over. At The Real Solly adds, driving in Jamaica is just like playing a video game. Level 1, avoid potholes. Level 2, avoid the new potholes after memorizing the old ones. And that's what's trending online today. Continue to share your thoughts with us on X at CVM TV. I'm Courtney Lewis. Time now for regional and international news. We begin with news in the region. The Ministry of Energy and Mines of Cuba reported early Wednesday morning a new disconnection of the National Electric Power System, CEN. Here's more from Telesur English.
The Cuban Ministry of Energy and Mines reported that they are working since early Wednesday morning on restoring the national power grid after failure led to a nationwide power outage. The Cuban Electric Union specified that the power grid was fully disconnected at 2:08 a.m. local